You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
Today is Monday, March 22nd, 2021, and this is your daily Star Trek news from the Roddenberry Podcast Network. On today's show, Gates McFadden announces the premiere date of her new podcast. Several actors from Star Trek Discovery are confirmed to appear at the 2021 GLAAD Media Awards. And Emmy-winning actor Henry Darrow, who played Chakotay's father on Star Trek Voyager, has passed away. I'm Alison Pitt, and today's show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Get 10% off your first month of counseling at betterhelp.com/DSTN. Gates McFadden's new podcast has a premiere date. In case you missed it, Gates McFadden is set to host a new podcast from the Nacelle Company as part of their premiere slate of podcasts. The Nacelle Company are already known for their television production, particularly docuseries such as The Toys That Made Us. But last month they revealed that they've completed work on a new podcast studio and are planning to launch a handful of podcasts, including McFadden's new one. At the time of the Nacelle Company's announcement, they didn't have a release date, but yesterday evening, McFadden herself took to Twitter to clarify the show's name and to tell people when they can listen. She posted, "Gates McFadden Investigates. Who Do You Think You Are? Is the name of my new Nacelle Company podcast. Debut date is April 30th. I am very stoked. More info in the next week." In addition to the show's name and release date, McFadden also told some fans of what to expect from the show. When one fan asked whether she would be discussing theater with her space friends on the show, she replied, "Sometimes. Depends which friend. We cover a huge range of topics." And teasing the perhaps saucier side of things, she said of her conversation with her space son, "When Will Wheaton and I play Never Have I Ever, I am guessing you will be a bit shocked." Like McFadden said, we should expect more details on the new podcast in the next week. And until then, just mark your calendars. Gates McFadden Investigates. Who Do You Think You Are? Premieres April 30th from the Nacelle Company. Now next up, the 32nd annual GLAAD Media Awards are coming up in April, and several actors from Star Trek Discovery will be appearing at the virtual event. This week, GLAAD announced the details for watching this year's awards ceremony, along with a list of special guests attending the event. With Star Trek Discovery's nomination for Outstanding Drama Series, it isn't too surprising that several members of the Discovery cast will be attending the virtual ceremony. Actors Wilson Cruz, Anthony Rapp, Ian Alexander, and Blue Del Barrio are all scheduled to appear. For more than 3 decades, GLAAD has honored media across numerous genres for fair, accurate, and inclusive representations of LGBTQ people and issues. 2021 is no exception, with 198 nominees across 28 categories, a notable increase from prior years. According to the announcement, the number of nominees was increased across several categories this year in order to recognize expanding levels of diverse LGBTQ representation across several media genres. If you'd like to watch the 2021 GLAAD Media Awards, it should be a piece of cake. Thanks to a partnership with Google, this year's ceremony will premiere exclusively on the GLAAD YouTube channel on Thursday, April 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can check that out at youtube.com/GLAAD, and that's GLAAD. The event will also be available to stream on Hulu beginning at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on the same day, and will be accessible there until the end of June. Now, I've got more news in a moment, but first, a word from me. Saturday was the spring equinox, which means that for the next 6 months, for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere at least, the days will be longer than the nights. For many people, more sunlight equals an improved mood, but if you've been feeling down, you don't have to just wait for the weather. You can take proactive steps to help yourself too, and that can start with signing up for BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an online counseling service that matches you with a licensed professional therapist who specializes in the help you need. Send a message to your counselor anytime, from anywhere, and get confidential, affordable advice. You can start living a happier life today. And as a Daily Star Trek News listener, you can get 10% off your first month of BetterHelp by visiting betterhelp.com/DSTN. And that's help, HELP. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health by visiting betterhelp.com/DSTN. That's HELP, betterhelp.com/DSTN. And a big thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's show. Now, next up, a story that we missed bringing you last week. Emmy-winning actor Henry Darrow has passed away. According to a piece in The Hollywood Reporter, Darrow's former publicist, Michael B. Drucksmann, announced last week that the actor died at home of natural causes last Sunday, March 14th. He was 87. Star Trek fans will know Darrow for his 2 guest roles. In the Star Trek The Next Generation first season episode Conspiracy, he played the Vulcan Admiral Savar, one of the high-ranking officials infected with the parasitic bluegills. Then in Star Trek Voyager, he played the part of Kolopak, Chakotay's father. But Star Trek was just one of Darrow's numerous credits. He's perhaps best known for playing Manolito Montoya in the NBC Western The High Chaparral in the late 1960s. He also held series regular roles in the soap operas The Bold and the Beautiful and Santa Barbara, for which he won a Daytime Emmy in 1984. Overall, Darrow was an accomplished film and television actor who won accolades from both audiences and industry colleagues. Born Enrique Tomas Delgado Jr. in New York to Puerto Rican parents, Darrow was a child of both Manhattan and Puerto Rico. When he was 13, his family moved back to the Caribbean island, where he completed his schooling in political science before moving to California to be an actor. In addition to his successful career, Darrow also advocated for underrepresented minorities. In 1972, he co-founded the Screen Actors Guild Ethnic Minorities Committee with fellow actors Edith Diaz, Carmen Zapata, and, a name familiar to Trek fans, Ricardo Montalban. It would be 40 years later, in 2012, that Darrow was awarded the Ricardo Montalban Lifetime Achievement Award at the ALMA, or American Latino Media Arts Awards. Darrow is survived by his second wife, Lauren, daughter Denise, and brother Dennis. Please join me in sending condolences to Darrow's family. Well, that's it for today's Daily Star Trek News from the Roddenberry Podcast Network. Don't forget to check out the other great shows on the network at podcasts.roddenberry.com. Daily Star Trek News is produced by me, Alison Pitt, with selected stories by Chris Peterson. Today's show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Get 10% off your first month of counseling at betterhelp.com/DSTN. I'm back tomorrow with more of the Star Trek news you need to know and this week's Trek Trivia. I'm Alison Pitt. Live long and prosper.
This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.